Do you believe in fairies and have a curious mind?
Have you had a close encounter of the fairy kind?
Join us, your Fae guides, to enchantment and lore.
Pixies, goblins, elves, mermaids, and more.
Conversations vast and varied.
As we ponder,
What the fairy?
oh, hello and welcome to What the Fairy.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
We all love stones and we've all bought some stones with us, and some of them have stories associated with them, but Anastasia has some information about hagstones.
My favorite or particular fairy stone, when I think of fairy stones, I definitely think of hagstones, which is the name for a rock with a naturally occurring hole in the middle, like this one. And I started collecting them, and I had a whole box full of them and started making these ornaments with them too, kind of like mobiles. But some other names for them are adder stones and serpent eggs, druid glass, and witch stones. And witches and fairies go hand in hand in folklore all the time. And so they're said to have a couple different supernatural attributes. The belief that sparked my interest in them is that they can be used to obtain the sight, the second sight, the ability to see into see fairylands or see fairies, which are usually imperceptible to the naked eye. But if you look through the whole of a hagstone, you're supposed to be able to see fairies and fairy lands. I will say it hasn't worked overtly for me yet, but I'll keep trying. And then also, they can be used for protection from accidents and witches and troublesome fairies, curses, snake bites, and nightmares. And it's said that magic can't work on running water. So I think the idea of their being able to be use a protective charm is maybe because they're made with water running through them. Maybe this imbues them with those protection powers. They're like little shields. And so then they can also be used as a charm. You can hang it around your neck. You can hang it on the neck of your livestock to keep you or your livestock from getting sick. You can hang it above your barn or the door to your house to ensure it's protected. Again, fishermen tie them to their boats for safe journeys, and I hang one on the mirror of my car for the same reason. Tying a hagstone to your bedpost can protect you from nightmares or act as a fertility charm. So be careful with that one. And then some believe rubbing a stone over a sore muscle or injury can assist in the healing process. And then if it's a big enough stone, they were said to be able to heal children and babies if you could pass them through the hole. So pretty big stone. And then finally, when it comes to fairies, hanging a hagstone in a stable above your horses, particularly above their back, if you can, said to keep fairies from riding the horses at night and leaving them exhausted and elf-ridden in the morning. So that's just a small snippet of what I have found and could say about hagstones as far as folklore goes.
Yeah, I've heard about the barn doors. So I've been writing about pixies, and that's one of the things that they used to do in Devon, to hang a hagstone above a barn door, as well as horseshoes. So,
I
and
actually keep one hanging by my door as well of my
how
house.
do you? Does it help with protection then, Emma?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Got it on some red like yarn, and that's hanging just behind my front door. So as my door opens and closes, yeah, it's just a little protection.
Very cool. Does the red thread have significance too?
Yeah, I think there's lots of folklore and stuff around red thread.
They use it. Well, I've had a St. Bridget's cross, which is just two pieces of rowan,
Yeah.
and that was bound with red string. I had that hanging above my front door for a long time.
I think there is a lot of protection
Yeah,
in the color red and binding in the magic, I think it is as well. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's also a fairy colour, isn't it?
Hmm.
So interesting.
Magical color.
Yeah. And we've all brought some stones, so so exciting. Emma, you brought up about heart-shaped stones, and I just had to share this one because I think I said about bringing one back from the beach. And
Oh, it's big.
Wow.
yeah,
That's quite a heart.
yeah,
You
I
just
don't
found it?
know. I found it on a beach, gosh, about 5 years ago. The beach was actually quite a long walk, so you had to come up over a really steep cliff. So I carried it all the way back a couple of miles from this beach.
Good
But
for you.
yeah, I found this one. Can't remember where I found
Oh,
that
pretty.
one, whether it was the beach as well.
You don't know what
Um,
kind of stone it is, do you, for either of them?
this one is kind of like quite a slaty sort of stone. Wouldn't know the exact name of it, but it's very similar to slate. This one's more like kind of a granite, maybe.
Isn't it funny how you just know when you're supposed to keep them?
Yeah,
You
Hmm.
really get a sense from these stones that they're supposed to be with you, don't you?
yeah. And it was strange because, well, I found the big one when I was with an ex partner, and it wasn't going well. So it's almost like the stone was showing me that I was still loved and protected, even though that relationship wasn't going well.
Mm,
So I felt like I just needed it. I needed it to be there as a reminder. So
And the fact
yeah,
that it's so heavy and large and you carried it like this big distance, that seems significant
yeah,
too.
yeah.
yeah.
To me, was that it looks
Mm,
quite layered stone, isn't it? And I
it
don't know, just
is. Yeah, it
maybe a
is
sign
like
to like follow your heart, your feelings.
definitely. The other thing about heartstones, my personal interpretation when I see them, and I know Emma, you were saying you can't always pick them up because sometimes they're just embedded in the ground. Sometimes I see them in like an old trackway or something, or on Dartmoor where there's lots of granite sometimes. And I tend to interpret them as a sign from the fairies that says, we are connected to you. This is our place. Welcome. It's one of the signs that I notice that I think, okay, this is like a threshold place. This is a place where I've recognized this. If I've recognized this, then this means this is a message for me that says, they're saying, welcome. We appreciate this connection we have with you. That's how I interpret it anyway. I know it's all personal. Don't know, what do you think about heartstones and what they mean? Have you
I'd
got
like to
any?
know what Emma hears because
Yeah,
you've had a lot of experience with this.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, for me, I totally agree with what you've just said about them, Claire. I definitely have had ones like that, signs and feelings like that. Um, but then for me, sometimes as well, I tend to see or find these little heart-shaped stones when there's something happening in my life, like
Mm,
an emotional time in my life, or stress, experiencing stress, or I don't know, just not feeling anxious, or things feel like there's a lot of turmoil in my life. Sometimes I'll
mm,
see these little heart-shaped stones right when I need them.
yeah. Hmm.
So it's almost like a little message to say you're safe, you're all right, you're loved, you're fine. And it almost, I see them and it brings me almost like back to myself. grounds me back in myself. And I just so sometimes they're the ones that can often be ones that I don't pick up as well because they're just there.
They're saying, welcome. We appreciate this connection we have with you. That's how I interpret it anyway. I know it's all personal. I don't know, what do you think about heartstones and what they mean? Have you
I'd
got
like to
any?
know what Emma hears because
Yeah.
you've had a lot of experience with this.
Well, for me, I totally agree with what you've just said about them, Claire. I definitely have had ones like that, signs and feelings like that. But then for me, sometimes as well, I tend to see or find these little heart-shaped stones when there's something happening in my life, like an emotional time in my life or stress, experiencing stress, or I don't know, just not feeling anxious, or things feel like there's a lot of turmoil in my life. Sometimes I'll see these little heart-shaped stones right when I need them.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a little message to say you're safe, you're all right, you're loved, you're fine. And it almost, I see them and it brings me almost like back to myself, grounds me back in myself. And I just see, so sometimes they're the ones that can often be ones that I don't pick up as well because they're just there for that moment, for that message, and I just acknowledge them and accept them, and then obviously move on. But then sometimes you do pick them up. You do think, I need to take this home with me. Like you need a little bit of extra love in your pocket,
Yeah.
almost take home with you. Or sometimes I often feel sometimes if it's a place out in nature that you really, really love, you know how we all quite often have favourite places where we go and visit. And I think they're little signs from the fairies and the spirit of place. So you can sort of, it acknowledges you as well.
Yeah.
You can take a little part of that away with you. So that's quite special. I mean, the
Yeah.
Yeah.
experience I had the other day where I nearly tripped over,
Oh,
I
yes.
actually nearly really hurt myself while I was out walking in the woods, and got a bit of a shock, a bit of a fright for a moment. And then as soon as I obviously got to my feet properly again and looked right down by my foot, there was a heart-shaped stone there. So I was like,
That's
okay, I'm safe,
amazing.
thank you. Something kept me safe, kept me on my feet.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. There's the obvious visual tie to emotion and love. It's a heart, so it doesn't seem surprising that it would be, yeah, connected with love and emotions
Yeah.
and safety.
I mean, I didn't feel the need to pick that one up. It was just a message I felt. So I left it by a tree to sort of say
Nice.
thank you back. I acknowledge you back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really important to say, and I think it's a theme will probably come up to time and again, really, is this idea that working with fairies, it's a reciprocal relationship. And like you're saying, when we recognize something, then we can feel grateful for that. And then it's like this give and take, isn't it? That just naturally happens, like just noticing, oh, right, okay, that's something that's made me feel really good. Thank you for that. And then just giving something back as a way of saying thank you. Yeah. And it's interesting the synchronicities as well, because I know since the three of us have been talking, there's a few synchronicities like that one, Emma, that
Yeah.
come up.
Yesterday I was in the creek and my boyfriend came over and he just handed me a heart-shaped stone. I hadn't told him anything about it, so that was interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that incredible that
Yeah.
we've been talking about it, or only in the last couple of days, really, haven't we? And then
Yeah.
that happens.
Yeah, and
But
sometimes you can put synchronicity down to confirmation bias, but it's like we look, that's one of the things we like to do is look for rocks. And I've never, I don't know, we never pick up heart-shaped ones. We always look at hagstones and crystals, but yeah, that was kind of the first heart one that
Mm.
we took notice of, and it's the day before we're going to talk about them.
Do you ever find any crystals, Anastasia? Like any quartz or?
Yeah, mostly quartz, just little ones.
Mm. Yeah, I'll just share. So this is a little bit of Dartmoor quartz, finding the rivers.
Pretty. Okay,
oh,
so that
wow.
you find in the water.
Yeah. What stones have you both got with you?
I'll have to show everyone. This is I call her Hagtha. My little welcome witch.
Oh,
The
she's
little
great.
witchy
Yeah.
that
She's
hangs by the
so
front
cute.
door. She's like a welcome witch. But I tied a hagstone to her broom that I found.
Okay,
So
and that's your protective front door hagstone.
yeah,
She's got it. Nice.
so she's got it on there. Hagatha helps top
She's
that up for
great.
me. So yeah, I found that one. That's a one from a beach.
Mm.
That one. Actually, that particular day, I found about 5 of them along that beach. So I've got some of them out in the front garden in plant pots, some out the back as well. Just to sort of be little protection markers outside my house, really. I also like putting stones. I don't know if either of you do this in with my plants
Mm.
because I
Yes.
think they help the plants
Yeah.
grow better.
Yeah.
They help
I always
them
put a
bloom.
gemstone in with them.
Yeah,
A jump stone. I've not heard that term.
A gemstone. Sorry, like
Oh,
rose quartz or something.
right. Why is it
Hmm.
called a jump stone?
I was saying gem.
Oh,
GM.
gemstone. I'm sorry.
Gemstone's probably something though.
I
yeah.
thought it was used.
Look that up. I bet there's meaning in
Yeah.
that.
I was thinking, is it something that gives the plant a boost?
Yeah.
The jump.
It's an
Well, we
American
are
thing.
talking about that, really. I suppose.
Yeah. Just call them that now. My
That's
gemstones.
exactly. Yeah, we're going to claim that. We're going to have that word
Yeah.
now.
I have a couple crystally hagstones. This one
Oh,
is hard to
look.
see, but it's got little crystals in
Oh,
it. Can't really see. And then I have this big one that's got
Oh
all
wow.
crystals in it. Whee!
oh
Oh,
wow.
The big
that's
heavy
so
one.
beautiful.
Yeah. And these are all just from creek beds.
So that's
So they're
fresh.
probably limestone usually. That's what we have a lot
Yeah.
of around here.
So
Nice.
that would be fresh water
Yeah.
there from.
Not very fresh water, but fresh water nonetheless. Yeah, but limestone's really, really old. Old rock.
Mm.
It's like the
Yeah.
bedrock
Yeah.
here.
And yeah, have you guys got any other stones to share? I was going to talk about the black stone that I have.
I'd like to hear about the black stone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
that's
So I'll
so.
tell the story of the black stone. So back in January, I I don't know if this is connected, but I was doing an art course and I decided to go out to one of my favorite parks on Dartmoor, which is actually it's like a park, but it's got an orchard as well. And in this park, there are these huge boulders because it's on the edge of Dartmoor. There's lots of granite. There's massive boulders, but it's like something out of Lord of the Rings because they're covered in moss and there's all these little weird apple trees, and there's a river flowing through this orchard as well. I was just wandering around the boulders, and they're quite high, so they're sort of, I, some of them, or the one that I was walking around was sort of above head height, so I couldn't see on top of it really. And for some reason, I was just stroking the moss because the moss was so green and lush. And I just swept my hand across the top of this boulder and I felt this stone and I picked it up and I thought, oh my gosh, that's so unusual. It was like it had just been placed there on top of the moss for me to find. And this is like a really special place. I mean, I've spoken to a woman that I know that's seen fairies there, and there are stories from that area about pixies. So it is a very, yeah, there's lots of fairy associations with this place. And then, so that was in January, and then recently, it's about March or April time, so like 3 months later, I was reading The Middle Kingdom by Dermot McManus, and this is written in the 1950s, and he was talking about revisiting an area in Ireland near where he grew up that he and his mother saw pixie lights, or what we call pixie lights here, but over there they call them will-o'-the-wisp or fairy lights. And so, yeah, it was a really special sighting. They saw these lights together. And then he, in the 1970s, so about 20 years later, after he'd had this experience, 20 or 30 years later, he went back to this place and there were all these little like hummocks in the landscape, sort of little, we call them hummocks here. I don't know what you call them, but they're just like little small humps in the ground covered in grass, like tufts. And it was a strange day. There were lots of crows around as well. He was talking about these crows, and I think it was a bit misty. It was a bit of a strange atmosphere. He said, I hadn't gone far when I came across one mound which some cattle must have trodden upon. A lump was torn away at the top, leaving a little flat edge of curious red-brown earth, and in the middle of this ledge lay a small jet black stone of the shape and size of an ordinary matchbox. And I thought, oh, mine's like a little sort of oblongy shaped stone as well. His was a bit bigger by the sounds of it. Now, in folk tales all over this countryside, time and again, a black stone, generally a small one, plays an important role in witchcraft, particularly, but also in fairy lore, and to such an extent that one would think they were fairly common. But they seem to be quite rare, and I have for some years kept my eyes open for one during my frequent rambles without success. So he says he's found like other stones that were dark grey or sort of a dark bluey colour, but never found a jet black one. Yet here in this reputedly fairy ground, I find one ready laid out for me. It is before me now as I write, for I picked it up and I put it in my pocket as a curio. I love that.
Yeah.
That
Mm-hmm.
it's like that connection he felt with the stone, and he picked it up and put it in his pocket. Yes. So he just says that the crows were cawing and acting strangely. They seemed to be, and they kind of moved towards him. I think they were on the ground, and they moved towards him as he was walking back to his car. So they sort of crowded behind him as he walked back to his car. So yeah, it's a very strange sort of experience with this stone.
And the crows are also black.
So
And
they,
obviously it makes me like think of there's a few crystals that I use as like protection as well.
mm,
Sort of, shielding your aura, like
yes,
obsidian, for instance. And obviously it also makes me think of like scrying mirrors.
yeah,
Yeah. So I mean that's not something I've actually ever done myself, but I know of people that have and whatnot. But there's something
Yeah,
about that, the dark of the mirror.
yeah, black stones are often used for like negating or absorbing negative energy, right? It's usually black stones.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why
yeah.
that is.
And the
I guess the
association,
black
obviously,
is
with
like absorption of
crows.
color.
Yeah,
Oh,
in that story as well. Oh, they're
mm,
really associated, aren't they, with the spirit world and whatnot?
mm, yeah,
Definitely.
Amazing.
yeah. Because Emma, you said that you said about the scrying when I first showed you the stone, and to look at what images I could see. So on one side, and you won't be able to see this on screen, but on one side I can see a face, and it looks like a little face with a pointy hat. So it looks like a kind of a sort of a pixie face on one side.
Hmm.
The other side has got a totally different face. It's got a face in profile, like looking with, one eye sort of looking that way. That's quite interesting, but I see different things in the stone depending on the light and, you know, whenever I look at it really. So it's definitely a special one.
Yeah.
Interesting that both side is a different face. It reminds me of Janus. Is that how you say it? The Roman god. That's the two
Yeah.
faces,
Oh yes.
which is beginnings, gates, transitions, doorways.
Oh, I got the chills then.
Oh, chills, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is there something with that story that correlates with those concepts?
Yes, definitely.
Have you identified the black stone that you have
No,
there?
no, I haven't. I need to look it up really. It's just it's strange that it was on top of a granite boulder, and obviously granite's completely different.
But it all feels very doorway,
Mm,
portal, doesn't it? Almost like the fact that, the hole in, not in that stone, but holes in stones are like portals,
yes.
Yeah, definitely.
and seeing
Yeah.
through into the other side, the
Yeah,
scrying, and all of it really seems to point to the same the same meaning, doesn't it?
it does. Yeah, it
Same.
does. Yeah, it's definitely a gift. I feel it's definitely a gift that maybe, over time, the reason why I was gifted it will gradually come to me.
I also just looked up hummocks. We
Hummocks.
don't have these here. These are really cool. I've never seen that before. Because
Uh,
I was trying to figure out if we have a different word, and we don't have hummocks. Those are very cool.
there's also Tumps, which is like a small hill. Because
Humps.
Tumps, hills all have different names depending on their size.
No, I didn't know
I
that.
didn't know
Mm.
that.
Like a
Well,
tump.
before we started, you mentioned, or it came up or something. Maybe it was the card that you mentioned something about going under the hill.
Oh,
That's
yes.
something I would like to do later. Is we can just do hills, but I
Yeah.
love the under the fairy. The fairies live under the hill, the mounds and stuff. I love that.
Yeah. Well, and the rock that I found that stone on was, it's like a mound. It was sort of that sort of shape, rounded on the top. So you could imagine something living in this stone.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Or it like
Which is
opening
a
up
very
like a
that's a
door.
very Icelandic thing. Very Icelandic thing. I think that the elves live in the rocks. And so they're like the Irish, where or maybe it's Swedish. No, I'm thinking of the Faroe Islands, where it's like the Irish will build roads around the hawthorn trees.
Yeah. Mm,
The Icelandic people will build roads around big boulders because they think the elves live in them.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I spoke to Raga, it was back in February, a few months ago. She was talking about her connection with the Icelandic, the elves in Iceland and the rocks, and she campaigned with some environmental campaigners to prevent this road being destroying this elf church.
Right. Yeah. Say
Yeah.
that they're churches and universities and libraries. It's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's,
Do you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Claire, you've just mentioned about your experience of finding the black
yeah.
stone. And
Yeah.
then we mentioned earlier about some synchronicities since we've been speaking
Yes. Yeah.
and just how things keep lining up like that.
Mm.
It was literally, I believe, like the next day after you told me about the stone, I found a black stone.
Yeah.
And
Amazing.
this was my first time finding one. And it's a hagstone as well. So that was very strange how I just that evening out of nowhere just thought, oh, I feel like going for a little walk on the beach and found this one. It's
Yeah.
completely flat.
Yeah, it's such a striking stone.
And again,
It
it
is.
was sort of I have walked on that beach many, many times. I've never found one there before or since. Certainly never a black one.
That's amazing.
And to
Yeah.
find one, yeah, and it even just to hold it, it feels amazing. It really has got a strange energy to it. It's really nice though. It feels really, really nice, and it feels very protective to me.
Yeah.
It's got very protective vibes. I actually keep it in my bedroom now. She lives on the shelf in my bedroom.
The hole in it is so perfect. I would be tempted to put a chain through it or something.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And you
So
were
that was just
saying,
really strange. Again, synchronicity.
you said before we started recording, you were saying about how the whole is created. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, because obviously, like some hagstones you find, I don't know whether they all begin like this. Probably
Mm.
not, because obviously depends if it's fresh water or seawater. But this particular one, when I've researched them a little bit, seems to be created by, I did write it down, I think it's called the Piddock clam, apparently. It's a type of mollusk that creates this hole through them. And it looks, when the human eye sees it as a perfect hole, perfect circle. But when you look at it closely, they are just slightly off, but very, very slightly. So that's just pretty cool. But yeah, so that was just, again, one of those strange synchronicities that stand
Uh,
out. They have a different, those experiences have a different feeling, don't they?
Yes.
When it's a
It
gift or a
looks
message or
Mm.
a sign like that. And I knew I had to keep that one. I knew that was a keeper, that one. I had to take that home with me.
well, it looks like if you look up Piddock or whatever, which is the clam, I think that makes the hole. But it looks like maybe sometimes just yeah, maybe people call the rock that. Anyway, when you look up the Piddock and it shows all these rocks, they're usually rocks that are just totally riddled with holes. And that one just has one really perfect hole. So that's kind of interesting.
And again, you said about with Claire's what type of stone it is. I don't actually know what this one is either. I'll have to try and have a little research.
Well,
It's bizarre because it's smooth, but it also feels textured
mm.
somehow at the same time. I don't know whether it is like I don't know. I was going to
It's
say
very
flint, but
pretty.
it's not flint, is it? Yeah,
It's really unusual, isn't it?
very unusual.
Are there any other black stones on that beach, or was it just?
No, it was just, it stood out so clearly. And it was just one of those ones where it's in that moment, in that space, right down by my foot. As I looked down for a moment, it was right by my foot.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, I know we could speculate on things a lot, but it's interesting to talk about. I expect we'll do a lot
Yes,
more.
it is.
What is it, do you think, that draws us to these places where we find these things? Because for example, similar to you, Emma, I'm sure this has happened to you, Anastasia. Well, it did to you the other day where you found that heartstone. Um, I went to the beach a couple of weeks ago, was thinking about hagstones. What was I thinking about? I don't know if I was thinking about hagstones consciously. Anyway, stepped onto the beach, and within a few meters, I find a hagstone. And so I just wonder what's going on with that. What's going on? Why are we, how are we drawn to these places? And how do we, is there something in our physiology that's, because I do dowsing. So I've done a lot of dowsing, and that is just it's your body, isn't it, picking up on what's going on.
Sorry. Yes.
So,
Oh, it's a cat day.
oh, which one's this, Anastasia?
There's
Which one?
Ingrid, my little
Oh,
no-eye kitty cat.
oh, bless.
Oh, oh,
She's
bless her.
giving you some love, Olet.
Oh,
She's made of love.
Oh, that's interesting.
I've got mine on my lap.
Oh,
It's on my
well.
What's
lap
his
still.
what's his name?
George.
George.
He's
Looks
called
like a
George.
George. I don't know what draws us, Claire, although, it's always, I don't know if it comes with being like a nature lover because they're in beautiful natural places. So I don't know. I mean, I'll be purposefully looking for them. I'll go on the beach, not the beach,
Mhm.
but the bank, the creek bed, and be looking. Um, I was thinking that's funny that you always find them with your foot, Emma, but I guess rocks are going to be at your feet. But it seems funny how you're always they're just right at your foot where you kick
Yeah.
them.
Well, again, maybe that is, I don't know, just thinking about it there, quite often I do get lost in my own head. And I feel like
Mm.
sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, it brings me back down. Just for a moment, it grounds me to look back down, at the
Mm-hmm.
ground.
When you said you almost you almost tripped over it, I don't know. Yeah, that spoke to me too because it's like sometimes we won't address things or we're just not aware of things, and it'll have to really like it'll trip you to be like, look, pay attention, or tell you something. It's kind of forcing your hand or your foot.
But I think sometimes you do, like, I don't know, you get, dare I say, like called to a place, or you follow your intuition, your gut, or
Mm.
something's telling you, oh, I really want to go to the beach today. And you go to a specific spot. It is almost like you're following some sort of guidance there,
Mhm.
whether it's just from yourself or maybe it's from yourself, and because you're sort of following that, nature spirits or whatever can come through a bit clearer, or you're able to notice them more when you're in that sort of, it's almost like that meditative state sometimes, isn't it, where you just feel the need to go and walk in a particular space or visit a particular place.
Yes.
You're more
Yeah.
open to receiving it, a bit like how you found your Blackstone play while you were just in the moment,
Mm.
you
Yeah.
know appreciating nature and really feeling the texture of that moss, and then you found the stone.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of it, I think as we were saying earlier, a lot of it is to do with appreciation of places or the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And talking about places, shall I share the experience with San Francisco?
Yes, please.
Oh
I'd
yes,
really like
please.
to hear this.
Okay, I'm just
Oh, that was one of my other hagstones rattling on the table.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it
Says,
just started
talk about
rattling. I must
me.
have knocked it. It was. I'll talk about you in a minute.
And so I was in this woodland, which is just this beautiful woodland on Dartmoor, and I was there doing some tree healing with these forks, and then I sat by the river that was going through this woodland and just was meditating, connecting to the place, connecting with the fairies. And I looked down, and in the river there was, I haven't got it here with me, both of them, but I've got one of them. There were two stones. So one of them looks like a little, well, I think it looks like a little face. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And the other one was like a grey, dark grey, sparkly stone. So it was like a really dark grey. It had lots of, it's mica in it. It's really sparkly. And I asked permission if I could take these two stones home, and I felt that it was a yes. So I took them home. I put them on my nightstand next to my bed and just forgot about them really. And then a few days later, about, I don't know, 3 or 4 days later, I had this dream that was just really vivid where I was flying and I came to this log and I flew through this log. And when I flew out the side of this log, the other side of this log, I saw myself as like this silver fairy. Um, and I flew to this rose garden, and there were all these benches around the outside of this rose garden. And on the bench, there was this man with dark hair. He was sort of tanned looking. And I saw myself fly as this fairy into this rose, and I disappeared into this rose, and the dream ended. I thought, oh, that was really unusual. I wrote it down. I wrote down the dream, and then I don't know what the time frame was. I need to look back at my notes, but I was doing some research on fairy doors. So I was writing about fairy doors on a blog that I had at the time. And I think it was the 10th of November, and I was reading about, yeah, researching about fairy doors. And I thought, oh, I'll just Google about Golden Gate Park, because that was the place that I'd seen in my dream, or that was the name that came up in my dream, Golden Gate Park, which I hadn't even heard of because I saw the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco in this dream that I had as well. So I looked it up and it said, yep, there's a Golden Gate Park, this huge park. I don't know, have you ever been to San Francisco?
I have not. No.
I've never been, I'd love to go. And it said, yeah, they have festivals there, and there are all these different areas to this park. And one of the areas of the park is a big rose garden. And they have these roses in the middle of these seating areas. So they have these like square sort of rose patches with seating around the outside. And I was like, oh my God, that's just like from my dream. And then as I was Googling Golden Gate Park and fairy doors, this article came up, or several articles came up about this man who was owned a bookshop in San Francisco, and he had made some fairy doors with, and he and his son had gone to put them in various places in in Golden Gate Park, one of the places that he put this door, and this gives me chills, was in the end of a log. And they had a photo of this door in the end of this log. And I was like, oh my God, that's like the log I flew through. And I looked up the author. He's a guy called Tony Powell. We've been trying to talk for a while actually. But I emailed him. I thought, shall I email him and say about this dream? I thought he's written about fairies. Hopefully he won't think I'm totally mad. I was taking a big risk. I thought I'm just gonna. So I emailed him and said, look, I had this dream, blah blah blah, and and to my delight, he responded and said, yeah, lovely. I'll send you a copy of my book. I'm happy to go to the park and try and find where this bench was for me. I was like, oh, great. Somebody just totally, he's just totally on the same wavelength as me, you know? And he did. He found this area where these benches are and sent me photos. And actually, in his book, which obviously I hadn't read by the time I had this dream, you know, it was after I'd had this dream, he writes a lot about the roses in this park. And just an amazing experience to go from picking up these stones and then having that. I think it's like an astral projection because it was so vivid, you know, and the
And
fact that,
specific.
yeah, and specific, and the fact
Yeah.
that it connected to a real person as well.
Location.
So yeah.
That's incredible. So many minute details. Like, yeah, the log, the
Mm.
roses. Did you have an association with roses before? Or did it come from this? 'Cause I know.
Do you know when that started? But so the other strange thing was that after I'd had that dream, soon after, within a couple of months, it was my birthday. And three friends who didn't know each other each bought me a rose bush. And one bought me a white one, another bought me a pink one, and another one bought me a red bush.
Wow.
I mean,
So
how?
were you able to see yourself as a silver fairy? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I can't say I've had an astral projection experience, but I really want one. Careful what you wish for, I guess, but it just it
Who knows
really
where you might
fascinates
end up?
me.
Yeah.
I know. I yes, and I know they say that you can train yourself to do it too, but that's too much work.
Yeah. I think it was something that I did accidentally as a kid. I've got memories
Oh, I would love to hear about that one day.
like flying and floating and sort of,
Oh yeah, we got to talk about
yeah,
that
and sort
soon.
of like being able to go to different places and even like through walls and stuff like that as a kid. Really strange. And for a long time I actually thought, was that a dream? But I'm like, no, they're memories, I'm sure. But I've got no idea how I did that or anything.
Strange but weirdly common.
Yeah,
I promise. A lot of people say the same thing.
yeah.
Um,
That was kind of what I think I heard it on Joe Hickey Hall's podcast,
she's definitely talked about it before.
and that was kind of what brought that back to me a little bit as well. So yeah, it's strange. But how amazing, Claire, that you were able to get all of that like
Yeah.
100% clarified.
Yeah, it was just like the way it all came together. And the interesting thing was, I wonder if it's something to do with the fact that I was offering some healing to the trees. And then, that's why I was allowed to take the stones because I've been giving something to the woodland. But how that experience came out of that, picking because I associated it with the stones. I thought these stones, obviously have little beings in them. That's the way I felt anyway. Um, and they were gifts. And
But you also came out of a tree, right? The log.
yeah, yeah, I flew through a log and emerged from this log into Golden Gate Park. So, and
I wonder
that's,
why that location.
I don't
But didn't
know.
you say he'd put a door? He'd put a door, a fairy
He's,
door
yeah, he'd put
on the log.
a fairy door in the end of the
Maybe
Yeah,
log.
that's why. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it becomes a door. Because
be-
I've heard stories before about um parents putting fairy doors into their kids' bedrooms, and
yeah,
then they start seeing fairies or spooky supernatural things start
yeah,
happening once
yeah,
the fairy door is there, because again it becomes an actual, you invite them in. I suppose it
Yeah, I
yeah.
hear
becomes
it's
a
not
door.
advised to put them inside.
Yeah, not in the bedrooms.
No.
No, I had one. Maybe we need to do something about portals and fairy doors because I did
Yeah.
have a fairy door in my bedroom that my sister bought me. That was a few years ago. I think that was around 2018 as well. And a combination of that, having a fairy door by my bed, not really realizing how they are portals. Especially if you're connecting to fairies anyway. Um, that and a ritual that I did as part of a workshop I went to around the same time, a fairy
Mhm.
workshop with an amazing person who Ryan Foxwood, if you've heard of him, he's like a fairy seer. He's a witch, he's a fairy seer, and I did a workshop with him at a festival I went to, and it was over a couple of days. And I came home and decided to practice some of these rituals at home because I bought his book, and yeah, it's led to some interesting things.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, that's where the door knocking came from that I was just said
Oh,
to you about. Yeah, that's when the door knocking started, and I had this fairy door beside my bed as well. Mm.
Yeah.
that'll do it.
But again, it was a log as well. Trees are often, well, obviously fairy doors are naturally in trees, aren't they? And
Mm.
I've
Yeah.
often heard of like trees being entrances,
Yes. Yeah.
doorways, and stones as well,
Yeah. Yeah. The
being
stones and
doors. So again, it
yeah.
all points,
Mm.
doesn't it, to the same thing?
Yeah, it does. It's yeah, so that sort of really that experience made me realise that the stones you do find, whatever types of stones they are, if you're drawn to bring them home, then they're kind of like a gift for you to work with, aren't they? And
Yeah. And it's amazing how they all,
yeah.
any stone, I suppose, crystals and things as well, they all have the different vibration, don't they?
Mm.
Help
Yeah.
with a different task.
Yes,
I
they
have
do.
a I
Mm.
I have a question, and
Mm.
maybe it can be a kind of a um a wrap up question. I don't know, a
Yeah.
little workshop for an end of
Yeah,
the
sure.
episode. So it's not exactly a what the fairy question, but maybe why the fairy? Why do stones have fairy associate? Why do you think fairies are connected with stones? Is it because they're a nature spirit, or is there something else?
I think it's I think it's to do with the elements because if you and I get confused about the whole fairies and elements and things. I kind of just think of fairies and associate them with different aspects of the elemental world. But yeah, there's the gnomes that traditionally associated with rocks, aren't they? And then, in Iceland, they associate the elves with living in rocks. So maybe it's just a really old, just very ancient belief that spirits live in rocks, and some of them have been interpreted as fairies, and other places they might be seen as some kind of god or, yeah.
Yeah. And isn't there like trolls as well? Trolls I've heard
Trolls.
associated with
Yeah,
stones,
they
or I
turn
think,
to stone.
yeah, turn to
Yes.
stone as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
yeah, and for me, I always, when I think of stone, obviously you think of the earth, don't you? The
Mm.
solid base of what the earth actually is made of, built on,
Mm.
but it it's able to hold, like I've just said, different vibrations, whatever it's made from, wherever it is based, whether it's stones in the woodland or the mountains. You think of mountains and caves, it can be
Yeah.
really above the ground, below it, and I don't know, it just makes me always think of like the stone tape theory as well, where it
Mm.
holds,
Hmm.
you can almost record onto it.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're so old. I don't know if fairies predate humans or if they're tied directly to humans, but rocks definitely predate humans.
Yeah,
So they're gonna have a lot of memory.
you can just go on and on about it, can't you?
Yeah, you
The more you
could,
Yeah,
dig into
because
it, the
yeah, yeah,
further the further the hole goes.
oh my goodness.
that's a good that's a good starting off point. Like there's just so much more to be said. So it's probably just fairy rocks part one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Layers,
Absolutely.
layers of rock.
Yep. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And thanks everyone that's watching this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
thank you. And see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Be back soon. Bye.
Bye.